All right, we got 15 books. We're putting them on the tier list. Let's get started with number 1. I've got 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. This is a good book. It's definitely worth a read. I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of a different kind of person, because for me, when I read this, I was like a super fan of Jordan Peterson, and I'd seen basically every video he'd ever put out on the internet. And so by the time I read the book, it just wasn't that awe-inspiring to me, but to somebody who maybe wasn't a big fan of his, it might have been a big deal. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's good, but not like iconic. It's not amazing to me, and maybe it's a little bit overcomplicated, but again, a good read. We're gonna put it on the B tier. Up next, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. This is either my favorite or my second favorite books. You already know it's going on the S tier. I just love that this book is so full of raw truths. You know, you're gonna see as we go through this list that some of these books that I really can't stand are these fluffy self-improvement books. I can't stand this garbage where it's just the hacks and just the soft shit. I just love that this book, it's just real shit. You know, this is a dude who dealt with a lot of crap, overcame it, and he's not hiding anything. He's not telling you it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be hard. And I just love that raw honesty of the suffering and the pain that truly goes into being great. Up next, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is a really good book with a lot of really interesting ideas. It's not the kind of thing where it's like a tactical strategy that's gonna make you a ton of money, but it's just a lot of really good ideas. It's the kind of thing you can go back to over and over again. You can flip to a chapter, get a really good idea really simply. I'm gonna put it on the A tier. Up next, The Almanac of Naval. This is a book that takes all of the ideas of the investor and entrepreneur Naval Ravikant and tries to condense them into this philosophy. It's really good. It's got a lot of really interesting ideas for somebody who's very new to business, entrepreneurship. This is a must-read book. One of the big ideas that it really lays out is the idea that you are your primary source of income. It's not a job, right? You're getting paid as a computer coder, let's say. Well, you're not getting paid by the job. You're getting paid because of the skills that you have, the intangibles you have. You showed up on the job interview, you impressed the person who hired you. That was something you did. And the point of this is a mindset shift of understanding the best investment you can make is in yourself. And the one thing that artificial intelligence and robots aren't going to be able to replace is you as an individual pursuing your curiosities and really getting better at specific things. So I really like this book. It's going on the A tier. Up next, The 50th Law by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. This is the one that's competing with Can't Hurt Me to be my favorite book of all time. So you know it's going on the S tier. The core philosophy of this book is that you should fear nothing. And it's really a discussion of how you can imbue yourself with this mentality of fearlessness, of boldly pursuing what you want in life, especially for us guys. This is something you should definitely read. It's one of these books that's just full of raw truths. It doesn't try to sugarcoat reality. It discusses ideas like using violence when necessary, and I genuinely find it so refreshing to discuss these topics. I sound crazy saying that, honestly, but it's just we live in this pacified society where everybody wants to tell you everything's so nice and easy and we can all just get along, and that's just not the way of the world. It's a ruthless place, and you need to deal with that if you really want to be great. Up next, Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. This is probably the best book on the discussion of the subconscious mind and self-image and how important that is in improving your life. Maxwell Maltz was a plastic surgeon, and he discovered that through making certain alterations to people's cosmetic appearance, it would end up affecting the way they saw themselves, which would have a huge impact on different areas of their life, from their career to their dating success and so on. And from this, he hypothesized the idea of the self-image, which is basically we have an internal sense of who we are and the expectations we have for ourselves in the world, and we tend to live up to that. So if we expect ourselves to be broke, then we're probably going to keep being broke, and we're going to do certain things that are going to self-sabotage us even when we do get money. And on the flip side, if you're somebody who expects to make a ton of money, you're going to find a way to make a lot of money even in difficult circumstances. And this has been proven out by a lot of scientific and psychological literature ever since. It's definitely got some really good ideas. It's not a perfect book. It's one of these older books that I feel like just rambles on way too much and has a lot of stuff in it you don't really need, but there are some really important concepts in the book, and I definitely think it's a must read. I'm going to put it on the B tier just because of, like I said, the unnecessary fluff and rambling in it, but the core concepts are essential. Next, we've got Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill wrote this book back in, I believe it was the 1930s. It was supposed to be your ultimate guide for getting whatever it is you want in life. He interviewed, it was 200 or 500 of the richest, most successful people of the time, took all of the things that made them successful and put it in into this book. I'm kind of on the fence about this book. On one hand, the core idea of the book is you become what you think about, which I do think is a really important thing to understand, maybe the most important thing to understand in all of self-improvement. But aside from that concept, it's just kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in it like that I don't really agree with, or stuff that feels kind of outdated. So I'm gonna put it on the C tier. If you're new to self-improvement, it could be a good place for you to start. But if you're somebody who's been on your self-improvement journey for a while, I don't think it's necessarily something you need to go back and read. Next, we got Atomic Habits. This is one of those books I was telling you about that just, it feels like one of these like really nice New York Times-y kind of books that somebody can quote really easily, like an Oprah Winfrey kind of book. It's just very surface level. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of it. I think Psycho-Cybernetics is like a much better version of this book. Basically, the idea is like, how can you do these little hacks so that you can change your habits and change your results in life? I guess some people have gotten results out of it because it sells a lot of copies, but I read it and I was just like, this is just like a lot of fluff, you know? It's just like, I'm somebody, I just really want that real shit. I want somebody to just tell me like, dude, just do the damn work. Like, that's what I want somebody to tell me. I don't want to talk about how I can, you know, at the morning breakfast table, I can start reading a book for 20 minutes and I can add that in as a habit or something like that. That just feels so like fluff. I want to actually accomplish something, and this book just feels like it's for people who want to pretend like they're accomplishing something and not actually accomplish anything. So it's going on the D tier. Up next, The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. This book literally changed my life. At the beginning of COVID, I had just started a new job. Things were looking up in my life. I was feeling great. I was talking to this new girl. I was like, oh yeah, things are going great. COVID hits. I get fired from the job, laid off, whatever. The girl decides, because I'm unemployed, she didn't really want anything to do with me. She leaves me. Now I'm just crushed. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? This pandemic, what the hell is going on here? I read this book, The Obstacle is the Way. It just got my mind in the perfect place just to understand I can't control circumstances. I can't control a pandemic. I can't control that I got laid off. I can't control that the girl left me. But what I can control is what I'm going to do right now. And I got super motivated. It really helped me get through COVID and look back on it and see it as one of the best times in my life where I really thrived and rose to the occasion. It's going on the S tier. Next, we got Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. This was his diary to himself. It wasn't even really intended to be published ever. Very popular amongst the Stoic community. A lot of guys like to talk about it. It's a very trendy kind of book to make you sound like really intellectual and masculine. I read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and like, I've read it. It's good. It doesn't blow me away. There's some good quotes in it, but I feel like it's like Marcus Aurelius is the kind of guy where it's better to just like follow a Marcus Aurelius quotes Instagram page rather than go read the whole Meditations, in my opinion at least. So it's going on the B tier. I mean, it's worth a read, but it didn't change my life. Next, How to Win Friends and Influence People. This was the first book I ever read on self-improvement. It's going on the A tier. This is one of the few books that I applied it and immediately saw a difference. It's about basically improving your social life, and one of the key concepts that really worked for me was learning to genuinely be interested in other people. And it became this lifelong habit for me at this point to look at other people and value their interests, essentially. So like if I meet somebody and they like football, I don't really care that much about football, to be totally honest, but if they like football, because I want to have a good relationship with that person, I choose to be interested in football, and you just watch how that person lights up talking about football with you. And it's the same with anything. It's like the master code to having great relationships with people is just genuinely being interested in what they're interested in. Next, we've got The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Pretty good book, but like, it seems like it's just one idea that's kind of redundantly expressed over and over and over again. And really the point of it is just be in the present moment. And I think that's a great thing, be in the present moment, but I can go again, do like a 10-minute guided meditation. I didn't really need the book when I read it, to be honest. It's going on the C tier. Next is No Excuses by Brian Tracy. This is a great book to have as an audiobook where you're driving places. It's the kind of thing you throw it on for 10 minutes, you get some really good nugget that you can apply in your life, and it just makes you a better person, gets you in the right mindset. It discusses everything from, you know, affirmations and positive self-talk, which, like I was saying earlier, really big deal to get your mind focused on the right things. It discusses goals. It discusses investing in yourself. A lot of really tactical stuff that you can do to improve your life. It's flirting with the S tier, but I'm going to put it on the A tier just because it's not like truly life-changing, but it's just a very good book. It's one of those kinds of ones you like to have in your arsenal to just keep going back to. Next is The Secret. This is the famous Law of Attraction book that really popularized the idea. I'm putting this one on the D tier, to be honest. Again, like, I think the idea of focusing on things that you want is really important, but this is just turned into this like white girl special kind of book where like people who just aren't doing anything with their lives but sharing Instagram quotes love this kind of book, and it just drives me nuts and I can't deal with it. And this notion that you can just like write something down and it's just gonna pop up in your life is just ludicrous. Believe me, I tried it. I really wanted this to work. I would have been so happy if I could have just written down I am a millionaire on a note card and it would have appeared, but it didn't. And here's the other thing about these people who are really into the law of attraction from this perspective of just like, I can think about it and it'll appear, that kind of nonsense. It's unfalsifiable, because if you say, I thought about something and it didn't happen, or I wrote it down and it didn't happen, they'll tell you, well, it's because you didn't believe in it enough. So it's unfalsifiable. If it happens, it's because you manifested it, and if it didn't happen, it's because you didn't believe it enough. When in reality, you know, like hard work, skills, all these things are a big factor in if you're gonna achieve something. It's not just about writing it down. That's great to get it into your head, but you got a lot of work to do here. The final book on our list, Millionaire Master Plan. This is a book a lot of people haven't heard of, but it's a really interesting book. The thing I really do love about this book is that it takes this approach of saying, hey, if you're in one place financially, that doesn't mean that your approach to getting more money is going to be the same as if you're at another place. So what I mean by this, if you're in debt, you're spending more money than you're making every single month, you need to figure out how to basically get back to ground zero. You don't need to be thinking about how you're going to get super rich. And the approach to getting out of debt is a lot different than the approach to making millions of dollars. And so it takes making money, breaks it down into the different levels that you're at, and basically walks you through how you can go from level to level to level to get where you want to go eventually. Really like this book. It's not like a game changer, but it's a really interesting book. I think it's worth a read. I'm going to put it on the B tier. Well, that's all the books, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.